Hello and welcome to the Authority of Love on another Family Foundation Friday. I'm your host, Greg Williams, joined by co-host David Walls from the Family Foundation. David, thanks for joining us and welcome.
Good to be with you as always, Greg.
Appreciate that. And thanks to you listeners or viewers, however you're connecting with us, thank you for joining us as well. And a reminder to, if you really are receiving things that are helpful to you, share it with others. We want to continue to spread this message for many reasons, most of all for God's kingdom and His glory. David, I know we've got a lot to cover today, as always, but how's your week been?
Man, it's been good. It's flown by.
Yeah.
Flown by. So
I said to you earlier, wait till you have grandkids.
Yeah.
That'll be a while, I know, for you. But man, the day, the month, the year, everything continues to fly by. And so we want to take advantage of that. Remember that we keep an eternal perspective on all that we do. I know that we're waiting on. Give us an update on the Family Forum videos, because I know you've had people asking about that.
Yeah, we hopefully in the next 48 hours or so we'll have the videos and start working on getting those up on our website. We already have a written recap with some great pictures of our family forum now from almost 2 weeks ago, and you can go to our website at kentuckyfamily.org. And in that same post, we'll be adding the videos as we get those finalized and uploaded on our YouTube channel.
Excellent, excellent. Lot of good content and speakers and things on that. So you'll want to take advantage of that. And I know you'll let everybody know, David. We talked last week, and since then they've had hearings on the Chiles versus Salizar case out of Colorado. I know you listened to it. I've read some things on it. Give our listeners an update on that.
Yeah. So earlier this week. Really big set of Supreme Court oral arguments. So as you said, Greg, this case centers around a Christian counselor, Chiles, out of the state of Colorado, who simply wants to do counseling as she is required by her faith to counsel.
And as many of her patients want her to.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're talking about voluntary counseling to kids. She sees children that maybe struggling with gender issues, and she wants to be free to be able to counsel them to ultimately accept who God created them to be, their true biology. Also, some discussion in this case centered around the issue of sexuality, and simply wanting to be able to help young people that might be struggling with their sexuality, and to be able to affirm them in the truth of God's Scripture, because we know that that's what's best for human beings. That's what causes us to flourish when we live in God's design. And so
research shows that over and over again, by the way.
Absolutely.
Overwhelmingly shows that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what had the state of Colorado done? It had passed what it would call a so-called conversion therapy ban, what really is a one-sided counseling ban that's particularly targeted at Christians like Kaylee, who simply want to, again, engage in voluntary counseling for the children and the parents on behalf of children that want to receive this type of counseling. And so really, Greg, so much of the arguments that took place this week at the Supreme Court centered around the issue of free speech, because this really is a free speech issue. And I thought our good friends, and we'll be mentioning them a little later, our friends at Alliance Defending Freedom were defending Kaylee. And I was also thankful, a continued reminder that elections matter and elections have consequences. The Trump administration, the federal government, was arguing against the Colorado law as well. And so you heard arguments both from the ADF attorney and from a representative of the Trump administration that we're thankful for. And I will say I was encouraged by what I heard. There was a lot of questions from the justices to when the state of Colorado got up to defend its I would say egregious law. A lot of concerns about the free speech implications, the ability of and the concern of the government stepping into an area that it has no business being in, and essentially setting the table and saying you can counsel. It's okay if you accept the government supported view of promoting the LGBT agenda. Yeah. If you promote that, you're A-okay as a counselor. Right. If you dare to go against the orthodoxy of the liberal leftist government of the state of California,
or Colorado.
Oh yes, sometimes you get them mixed up. But here's you bring that up. I believe California. I know New York. There's 20-something blue states essentially
Yes.
that have these types of laws that are seeking to suppress counseling.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
as we mentioned last week, Greg, let us not forget that we have local governments here in Kentucky that have passed these ordinances. They passed them at the local level. And then even though there was not any appetite to pass a state law to do this, our governor egregiously signed an executive
Yes.
order this year to try to impose this, even though he didn't have the legislative authority
Trying to
do
skirt
so.
the law. Right.
Continue to be thankful that the General Assembly passed legislation to undo that unlawful executive order earlier this year. But it's just a reminder that this hits very close to home here in the Commonwealth as well. So I was encouraged. It seemed like many of the conservative justices, we've had strong 6-3 decisions on a number of key decisions last term. It looked as though there was a lot of skepticism to this law, but we never know till the opinion comes out.
Right.
So we need to continue to be praying. This case is going to have really, really big implications.
Sure.
I mean, when you're talking about the First Amendment, when you're talking about the rights of Christian counselors, as we have argued and have written pieces on, these types of laws, when the government engages like this, it is coming right at the Christian faith.
Yes.
It is literally trying to put into law essentially a repudiation of the gospel that says it is possible to counsel people to change a lifestyle that they don't want to live in. And so that's why I think we're going to need to continue to pray for this case, and it has potentials to be a landmark case on First Amendment and even religious liberty.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to mention. You talked about freedom of speech, but it's certainly, as you said several times there, it's a religious freedom issue as well.
Yes.
And I want to state this very clearly, David, because we've said it and we've kind of not glossed over it, we just kind of slid by it. But isn't it interesting that the government, through their laws, through public schools, government-run schools, can literally force conversion,
right,
and push conversion on these kids, these very moldable children,
right,
mentally and physically and in every way. They can force the conversion on them, but then when you try and they ask for the help to be, wait a minute, I don't want that.
Yeah.
And to be, quote, converted back,
yeah,
which is only because in almost every case they're being converted in the schools and through the government. Then they say no. Yes, the schools, you can convert them,
right,
to as what you said earlier, to what we agree with.
Yeah.
But you Christians cannot convert them back to what they actually are.
Right.
That's the crazy thing, and that's why we must continue to stand graciously but boldly in all these situations.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So incredibly important arguments in case today, and we'll continue to be encouraging our folks to pray for this case and keep folks updated as when the decision comes.
Yeah. And I know you were, yesterday actually, you were at a hearing, preparation for the Kentucky General Assembly on the Artificial Intelligence or AI Task Force.
Yeah.
Our friends Matt Lockett gave testimony, but there were some others. Give them an update on that, because I think that's going to be hugely, have huge implications and ramifications in our culture.
Yeah, so we're still in the interim period and the lead up to the start of the 2026 session next year. But there's been an important task force, an AI task force, where they've been having a series of meetings through the interim to look at some of these issues related to AI that we're all having to grapple with right now. Yeah. But I was thankful in the task force meeting this week, they gave an opportunity for Representative Matt Lockett to present on the need to protect kids from the harms of social media. So this has been an issue. Representative Lockett has done great work in previous sessions, working on bills to protect kids from online pornography. He had filed a bill this year even to start addressing the issue of protecting kids from social media. But this was an opportunity for him to lay out his desire to work on a bill this next session. And one of our friends, I mentioned Alliance Defending Freedom, Chelsea Yeoman, who is a senior counsel with Alliance Defending Freedom and a friend, someone that I had done some work with in Texas in years past. She came and was able to give expert testimony. And look, just to kind of set the stage, and this was kind of some of the data that Chelsea shared, the reality is we know that social media and the phones, they are addictive by design.
Yes.
And what more and more
Been
data
proven over and over again,
yes,
David. Yes,
it is
and admitted.
yes,
And admitted by
we are hijacking the normal teen brain development, rewiring the brain, and what the most recent studies are showing, Greg, is that the effects of social media on the brain of developing teens and children is more akin to hardcore drugs. In terms of the dopamine hits and so forth. And the other thing is that these platforms have designed them to be that way from the ground up. When you think about some of the features like infinite scrolling, when you think about these autoplay videos that just continue to seek to suck people, adults included, into
video gaming is a big part of that. It all works the same way, essentially.
Absolutely. And then you've got the whole advertising side of it, where they are creating a profile. They know exactly who you are. Mm-hmm. They've got a profile created. They're selling that, and then targeting ads and other things to further entice. And this is particularly harmful for kids. And as we have said before, this is an area where you would not allow this type of activity to take place for minors in any other context. But somehow we've allowed these social media companies to essentially entice, addict, and then profit off of personal information of our young people. And so it's time for that to stop. It's time to say we want to put parents back in the driver's seat. And so what was interesting is ADF also presented on a new model piece of legislation that they have developed to work on this, the Stop Harms from Addictive Social Media, what they're calling the Shazam, Shazam app. And I'm not going to get into all the policy weeds, but what's really interesting about the proposal that they're encouraging the General Assembly to consider is the social media companies, these big billion-dollar platforms, we know they know exactly who you are. They have all this data, and they even tell you through AI and their algorithms, they know exactly the age of every person that's on their platforms.
Within a few
Absolutely.
interactions. Yes.
So what this proposed legislation would do is say they already know who minors are, children are, and so they have to notify parents if a child is on, and then
take responsibility for it.
Then the parents get to decide whether they want a child is on, and if that approval is not given, then a child that is 16 or under, in some of the language in the bill, the platform would be required to shut down their account. Now, look, I'm a firm believer. I've got 3 young kids. We've talked about this, my wife and I, and with other folks in our community and our church. I think Christian parents need to have a really serious conversation about whether they ever provide a phone and certainly social media to a child that's still in their household, because it is just so clear, the addiction tendencies and the pathologies that this is creating. But while we still need parents to be parents, and parents are ultimately the ones that have the responsibility, as policymakers, we need to clear the area and create an environment in which we have laws and policies that are seeking to empower parents, not to allow children, because we always know kids are going to be more tech savvy than their kids. Right. And the current environment is in which it's incredibly difficult for parents to even know what's going on. So this was a really important conversation that I'm glad that the General Assembly and the AI Committee gave some time to as we seek to prepare for the upcoming session.
Well, and there's going to be a lot more on that pretty soon for sure, because that's going to be an ongoing issue. I really like giving them and them taking some responsibility and then allowing the parents to be involved in it. So we got a lot more, but we're out of time. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your prayers. Thanks always to the Lord. Make it a great day, and God bless in Christ. I'm Greg Williams, your host, with co-host David Wallace from the Family Foundation, and you're listening to Family Foundation Friday on the Authority of Love.